Hi, and welcome to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast presented by Wolf Precision Incorporated, where we learn about and share long range shooting and custom rifle building. I am your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to episode 87 of Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about big rocks, priorities, and a special tribute to the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So a little bit special of a podcast here. You know, we're coming on to our 20th anniversary and all the craziness in the world, and so we thought we'd just pay a little tribute to that as well. So without further ado, here we go. So I love listening to audiobooks and reading and learning new things. It's sort of embedded into my DNA. And, you know, one of the things that got me into long-range shooting was just how much of an art it is trying to will a bullet to go to those types of distances and to score hits. It's sort of like a mystical, magical thing. And then when it got into building the custom rifle parts, one of the reasons we got into it so much, or I got into it, was there's an art to it. There's a craft, there's something special about it. And then going in and trying to find the weak spots and saying, well, what can I do to make a difference, to make it better? When you get into, you know, the art of building a custom rifle, there's something magical about it that when you start really looking at it from piece by piece and part by part. So like right now we're trying to address stocks and how can we do a better job in that whole areas. But, you know, with the actions, we had a lot to do with the BAT tactical action, the first BTA to come onto the market, and trying to fix all of the shortcomings that a real action should and could be. And BAT Machine had it right with their bench rest actions. And of course, we turned that into the 700 clone with pick rail and all that really cool stuff. So then it led us down to, you know, now we can cut chambers in a perfect chamber at that with a perfect throat, but it required a really odd technique of spiders because of the curvature of the bore, and there really was no way around it, you know, and so that led us down to trying to cut a perfectly straight throat separate of the chamber. So we make the chamber separate, the ace, of course, and then we cut a perfectly straight throat. And so this whole thing is just trying to create, you know, the perfect rifle, leave no stone unturned, and leave the industry and the rifles and our community in a better place than what we found it. You know, leave a mark that we could make a difference so the next generation of shooters can go out and enjoy our sport. And I liken it to music as well. So I've been a musician my entire life. I've been very blessed that I got a chance to play in bands and do all this really cool thing when I was younger. And at one point, we were playing so many shows that I actually didn't cash my paycheck for a couple months. We were making so much money. And I was always fascinated that people would pay us to do this because I would do it for free. So I sang and I played guitar and all that stuff. And it's something I even did up until maybe 5 or 6 years ago when our business really started growing and taking root. And of course, all the music equipment got sat to the side and the writing. And it's just part. And I think I got hooked into music sort of the same way that I get hooked into the art of making the perfect rifle. Like when you're playing guitar, there's a lot of magic. Like it's really cool to get a guitar to sing that tone that people talk about. You know, how do you get that? You know, it comes from your fingers and how they talk. It comes from the guitar, the quality instrument. So I liken building a super high quality rifle to playing a PRS guitar. So I had PRS Custom 22 that the tone was just awesome. The history of how they designed a guitar and all the little things that they did differently that just made small differences to that guitar. If we would just tap it, it would just ring. Amazing. Like little details on the tuning nuts, the materials it's made out of, just the attention to detail. And it makes a world of difference. And so it allows you as a musician, when you're playing and you want that awesome tone and that awesome sound, that magic that comes from your fingers continues through the guitar and into the amp and, of course, into your music, which is just absolutely awesome. Takamine guitars, you know, it's one of my favorite acoustic guitars. I've had one forever, and I just love to play it. The sound is just incredible. And I liken that to guitars and the fact that, you know, us as shooters, you know, we're looking at that as an instrument or a tool to allow us to sing, to allow us to really hone our art and craft and will a bullet to go somewhere, even though everything else is against you, and from wind and all of the other things when it comes to the fundamentals. And how do you get the most out of that rifle? So you, as the shooter, as the guitar player is to the guitar, can get the most out of it. Just make a beautiful instrument. And that's what led me down to making my own custom rifles and all the design changes. It was that passion that goes into making just really high quality instruments and tools, and a love for it, innovation, and that drive that keeps you at 2:00 in the morning drawing something that there's something here. What are we doing? There's something special happening here. Keep going, and you just keep pushing forward, and then it's really cool that a year later a part is in your hand that never existed before, and it works. And so the reason I bring this up is I was listening to a really good book, and they were talking about a professor had did a study, and he had brought in, and he was talking about time management and priorities in life. And this 9/11 coming up and the 20th anniversary, just all these things just sort of come back to what's a priority in life. And, he had a big gallon mason jar in front of the class, and he had these big rocks that were just big enough to fit in. So I've probably heard this before, but he put the big rocks into the top, and he asked the students if the jar was full, and they said yes. And then he proceeded to put big gravel in and kept shaking the gallon mason jar and settling the gravel to the bottom, and he got it filled with gravel. And then he asked the students, is it full? And the students were like, oh yeah, of course. And then he started putting sand in, really fine sand, working its way through the gravel and shaking it in. And then he would ask the students, is it full now? And the students would say yes. And then he would start pouring water in. And then he'd ask the class, he said, does everybody understand the exercise? And one of the students had said that, well, yeah, it just goes to show that you can always fit more in. And he said, no, it's absolutely the opposite. Is if you don't get the big rocks in first, you'll never get them in the jar. And I thought that was really cool. It really sat me back to think a lot over the last week or two about why we do what we do and what has the passion going. And as far as me personally, what I love to do. And I love teaching, and I love shooting, and I love the art of what we do. And I love building the rifles and sending them out as a piece of art, or as just a piece of special equipment that leaves here as something that's supposed to be, assembled by the people who designed it. And I think that's the really cool part of it is every time I build a completed rifle, I get to look at that and say, wow, there's so much we were involved in designing almost every aspect of how this is made. It's just special. To me, it's really cool. So the big rocks, I'll be 50 this year. My daughter's still at home. She's in college. Of course, with all this pandemic stuff, she came home and is going to school and finishing her college degree here at home, which is awesome, by the way. I get to spend more time with her before, she's off and running in her big life. And my wife, I love to spend time with my wife. She's my best friend. We met probably 25 years ago, and we've been married for 22, 23 years. And it's just awesome that she's been that rock in my life to motivate me and to allow me to do all of these crazy things that I've done in my life. I'm sure there was times she probably scratched her head and was like, what is he thinking? Okay, I'm going to let him go and try this one and see what happens. And here we are today. So for me, it's focusing back on the priorities as to what's important and making time to put the big rocks in the jar that's important for me first. And that's a priority in my life, and that's sort of my family. That's the business and building custom rifles. The whole reason I started this business, that's the long-range shooting school that I absolutely love to share and talk and teach and sort of pass that along. And it also goes into music. The reason I bring all this up is I wrote a tribute song for my friend. His name was Danny Leitner. He had gone to Hollidaysburg High School. He graduated a couple years behind me, and he had passed away in Iraq. Well, probably in the mid-2000s, maybe, we had got deployed. We were sent down to Fort Bragg to get ready to go to Bosnia. We were supposed to go there for some time, and so we went down for training. And we were in barracks. It was winter, and it was cold down there, actually. And, no sheets, it was really, not that I'm complaining, I've slept in tents, but, for our standards, we get down there, we're supposed to be going down there for training to possibly deployed. And, it was just, after 9/11, everything sort of locked down pretty hard, so you couldn't leave your area. And so we just sat on bunks, and in walks this kid, and he looks at me and goes, "Hey, your name's Jamie, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he looked so familiar, but I couldn't put my name, I couldn't put a name to it. And he said, "Oh, my name's Danny." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're the kid that lived down the street like 4 or 5 miles, a couple years behind me." And so we got to spend, 2 weeks down there together, and we got to spend some time at other trainings. And he's such a good kid. Like this kid would run, he would drive a mile back on his bicycle as a young kid. I mean, younger than I was. A mile back our river road, and then another quarter mile back a dirt road, only to deliver my grandmother one newspaper every day for a $2 tip. I mean, he helped raise his younger sisters. Just a genuine guy. Got out of the military, got into the Guard, was working to become a state trooper, and eventually made it. He became a state trooper, which I was really proud of him. And then, unfortunately, he got deployed to Iraq, and that's where he had lost his life. So I wrote a tribute song to him, which was sort of near and dear to me. And my goal was to publish it and put some of the proceeds away to put towards a scholarship in his name to give to the school district. That was sort of why I wrote the song. And I stumbled across this song on my old laptop. I had done all the work. We've done all the studio work. I mean, the song was beautiful. We got it ready to release and up to there, but we stopped. And that was 5 years ago. I can't tell you where the last 5 years went. I mean, our patents went through, and we just worked nonstop, 16, 18 hours a day. And here sits this beautiful song that was a tribute to my friend that I never really posted. And so the reason I'm sharing all this with you is, I think everybody in life, you have to get your priorities in line as to what's the most important thing that you want to do and what's important to you. And so for us, yes, we're still going to build custom rifles, and we're still going to teach a long-range shooting school, but sort of take control back of the time that we have left here to do some of the other things in life that's also very important. Like, for example, I still write and play, and unfortunately, a lot of my equipment, like we had somebody come to our house and deliver a washer dryer, and I have all these guitars stacked up, and some really nice ones that I've worked really hard over the years. One that my wife bought me with a bonus from her work 15 years ago, maybe, and the guy was commenting like, "Oh my God, look at all those guitars," and how sad is that they sat underneath a half an inch of dust. So I guess what I'm saying is I've done a lot of soul searching the last week or two, finding this song and totally forgetting that I even had it. And then when I looked at the date and it said 2016, just absolutely stunned me that, I'm thinking it's a year or two old. It was been 5 years. And I'm going to post the song. It's on all of your favorite stations. It's on iTunes and Amazon Radio, all of the places where you would search for it. And the song was a tribute to Danny, and we're going to donate a portion of the proceeds to start a scholarship. I'm probably going to take some money out of my own pocket and visit Hollidaysburg and just start a scholarship. That way something can be given away in his name each year. Maybe I can try to reach out to his mom, and maybe she can be a part of it, something special. But great guy. Of course, it's usually the best ones that really do pay the price for it, for what our country sacrifices for and what great Americans out there do. So this song is a tribute to Danny, and I hope you enjoy it. I published it here for you to listen to, but you can also find it on any of your favorite stations. The song is called Americide, and it's written by Jamie Dotson here. So at the end of the podcast, I'm going to end it with just playing the song as a tribute to Danny, and I hope you enjoy it. So priorities in life for me, and just to pass on to everybody else, sometimes we just get so wrapped up in life and so letting things fill our jar that we can't get the big rocks in that are really important. And I just don't want to forget that. And I thank God every day that I get woken up once in a while and saying, hey, there's got to be a balance here. And it just reminded me of all the things that I'm so fortunate that I'm here to do. I hope you guys enjoy the song. This is a tribute to, 9/11 is going to be on its 20th anniversary. And this is a tribute to Danny Leitner, a good friend, a neighborhood kid that I just ran into years and years later, sitting across from me on a bunk in Fort Bragg. And unfortunately, a couple of times we trained since, and then never seen him again. So for all of you guys out there, hope you enjoy it. This is Danny's song. home of the brave. Come follow me, is what they say. On that plane, a one-way trip. Only hope that there'll be a mist. A suit and tie pretends to cry as I try and tell another lie. Oh, and the good will die. Another tragic end. A true American dies. They take our young from the poorest lands, courageous hearts with working hands. We teach them well, gun in hand, and drop them off in foreign lands. A suit and tie pretends to cry as I try and sell a rich man's lie. Oh, and the good will die. Another tragic end. A true American dies. Ain't funny how our lives they cross. Child or friend, bump across. We talk of life and future plans, never to be seen again. Goodbye, friend. I wish you well. Heaven's gates came through hell. It's always the good that dies so young. Here's to you, my friend, and this is your song. A suit and tie pretends to cry as they take that flag and fold it just right. Oh, and the good man died. Another tragic end. The true American died. And the suit and tie pretends to cry. Another cross put in line. Oh, and my good friend died. Another tragic end. True American died. Here's to you, my friend, and America's pride.